with my mother on the train, and I think I had to go to the bathroom, and I remember this weird image of the toilet had a little red spot on it, which I think was something I was supposed to aim at. And I was just kind of old enough that I could go to the bathroom by myself with my mother on the train. I think that's the first thing I remember, which, who knows why, but it was that little red spot that stuck in my mind.
Okay. Have you got any other memories that stand out from, like, when you were very young, or?
Yeah, I had an imaginary friend.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Trying to remember, Marie, which is very weird. My imaginary friend's name was Marie, and that was my stepmother's name. Many years later. I mean, I don't think I ever told my stepmother, hey, you know, when I was a little kid, I had an imaginary friend named Marie. Yeah, and I remember, of course, one of these attention-getting things that little kids do. And my parents were moving furniture around, and I remember this, oh, don't, Maria's back there. And my parents were like, okay. So that was kind of an impatient thing. Yeah. So this is on memory, right? So how does that work? Yeah, I don't know. And there are sort of brief moments, I think, that one remembers. Yeah. So ask me some more questions.
Well, literally, like, I've come across some things so far, like people remembering actual objects that they had when they were little, or like toys that they had and stuff like that. Places, things that you used to do with your friends, anything.
And I remember, I mean, this is quite a bit later, I guess, but I mean, it's always sort of extreme things that you remember, because the kind of everyday stuff is just everyday, you know. But I remember, I think I was 8 years old, and I lived in this sort of suburban, subdivision, and everything was under construction. There were construction sites all over the place. And of course, we weren't allowed to go into them, the houses under construction, but we did all the time because it was interesting. And my friend, whose name I can't remember, there was like a hole in the middle where they were going to put in the stairway. And he fell down into the basement, broke his arm. And we had to go and get his father, and his father was really strict. And his father was pissed off at us, as though it was our fault. It was actually his idea to go in there. And he was always a sort of wild kid and careless. And he was saying, oh, let's jump over here. And he tried to jump over this thing, and like hit his chin and fell in the basement and broke his arm. And he's just lying there crying. And I said, should I get your dad? He said, no. No, we got to get somebody. And he held his arm up, and it was sort of hanging. And we got to get somebody. So we were hoping his dad wasn't home. We went to get his mother, but his dad answered the door. John.
Great. Oh, you remember his name.
John fell in the basement, and the father was like, where? So, what? Ever so. We came. The father jumped down there, and somehow or other carried him back up. I don't know. Oh. It was almost like punishment, though. It was like his kid over his father's shoulder with a broken arm, and the father's climbing up the beams and stuff.
Sounds painful.
So I remember that. And that same kid, we were sort of, they had these sort of lids from paint cans that had been opened with some kind of a rough can opener, really jagged, and these lids were lying around, and we were throwing them like frisbees, and this John threw one at me, and I caught it, and I've still got a real nasty scar on this finger. I caught this thing in front of my face with my hand, and it just like, the end of my finger was kind of hanging. So I remember that very clearly, but I think I was about 8 years old.
But you're lucky it didn't go any further.
Yeah. I also, I mean, injuries are good things from memory, you know, it's because you remember those later, because you're in the bath and you see a scar and you think, oh yeah, I remember where I got that. So I've got a scar on my foot, in between my first and second toes on my right foot, where I very cleverly, I had a pitchfork, and I was in the garden, and I was showing some friend, look how you put the pitchfork in the ground, and I put it on my foot, and then I jammed it through with the other foot, without realizing that it was in my foot first, and I thought, hey, why can't I move? I just
Oh dear.
Jammed myself. So, memories. Pain. Memories go with pain, I think. Yeah. So, I've got some good memories about my various marriages, too, which, of course, it's to pain. You know.
I'm sure you have some happy ones as well, though.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you very much.